Hello and welcome back. Today we're looking at a script for a YouTube political commentary video. It's a defense of Erika Kirk in response to a Washington Post article criticizing her wardrobe right after her husband's assassination. Let's get right into the work.
Yeah, this is a heavy topic. You've got a very sympathetic figure being critiqued by a major newspaper for wearing, of all things, shiny clothes.
Right.
The raw material for a really powerful defense is all there. But reading through it, I just felt like the creator was getting in his own way.
I agree. The first thing that hits you is the tone. The author is clearly angry, and rightfully so, but the way that anger comes out is actually undercutting his own authority.
Oh, completely.
He spends a huge part of the script just attacking the journalist personally.
Right. It's the name calling. He keeps calling her Ashley the Dingbat.
Ashley the Dingbat.
And then it evolves into Ashley Dingbat Maloney Malloy. It's almost rhythmic. Like he's trying to make it a thing.
Exact. And I get the impulse, You see something that feels cruel attacking a widow's fashion choices, and you just want to lash out. You want to belittle the person who did it.
But what does it actually achieve, strategically, calling her a dingbat?
Well, it rallies the base, I guess. It signals to his audience, hey, I'm on your side. This writer is an idiot.
But that's the problem, isn't it? It just lowers the ceiling on the whole piece. If I'm a neutral observer and I hear Ashley the Dingbat 5 times in the first 2 minutes, I'm not thinking this is a serious critique of media ethics.
No.
I'm thinking this is just a schoolyard rant.
Precisely. It allows the opposition to just dismiss the video immediately. It hands the moral high ground right back to the newspaper. The whole goal of this script should be to expose the Washington Post for punching down.
But then he becomes the aggressor.
He becomes the aggressor. He starts hurling insults, and suddenly he's the one violating the norms.
Okay, so if we strip away the insults, how does he channel that anger effectively? Because you don't want him to sound robotic, he needs to be upset.
He needs to trade the insults for judgment. There's a huge difference between saying, you are stupid, and you have violated the basic standards of your profession.
Ah, yeah.
So the suggestion is to go cold, be surgical, replace Ashley the Dingbat with the Post's columnist, or just the author.
That depersonalization is so much more powerful. It creates distance. It treats the journalist not as a person to be mocked, but as a symptom of a broken system.
And the script actually has the perfect weapon for this, but it's totally buried. Later on, he mentions Jack Posobiec, who brings up specific journalistic style guides.
I saw that.
These guides explicitly say you should not describe a woman's clothing in the context of death or tragedy.
That is the strongest point in the entire script. It's an objective standard. It's not just, I think this is mean. It's this literally violates the industry's own rules.
Exactly. So bring that up front immediately. Instead of the whole name-calling, the script should say something like, this columnist didn't just write a bad take. She violated the standard style guide for reporting on widows.
That's unassailable.
It's unassailable. And it frames the anger true professional failure. You sound like the adult in the room pointing out malpractice, not some guy just yelling at a screen.
It changes the whole dynamic from guy versus girl to ethics versus unethical behavior. And that is a much harder argument for the Washington Post to just shrug off.
Okay, so moving on to the structure, there's a section in the middle here that really threw me off.
Let me guess.
We're deep in this defense of Erika Kirk, right? Discussing the gravity of her situation. And then all of a sudden the host starts talking about himself.
The Queensland section?
The Queensland section.
Yeah, that was jarring. He goes on this pretty long tangent about how he lives in Queensland, he wears Crocs, he wears running shorts. He's not a fashion icon.
I was checking the timestamp. I was thinking, why are we talking about your footwear right now?
It's that classic problem with personality-driven content, right? The host wants to be relatable.
He's trying to say, hey, I don't care about fashion either. But in this specific context, defending a woman whose husband was just assassinated, it creates this really uncomfortable false equivalency.
It completely trivializes it. You're comparing your choice to wear Crocs on a Tuesday to a CEO being scrutinized while she's in mourning. The stakes could not be further apart.
And it just kills the momentum. You've built up all this righteous indignation. The listener is leaned in, and then you let all the air out of the tires to talk about shorts. It feels like filler.
Speaking of filler, did you catch the slow news day thing?
Oh my God, how could I miss it? He says it, 3 or 4 times?
Must be a slow news day. It's just a slow news day.
It's such a cliche. And logically, it contradicts the entire premise of the video. If this is just a fluff piece on a slow news day, why are you making a video about it?
Why are you so angry? Yeah, you can't claim it's a malicious attack and then just dismiss it as boredom in the next breath.
That's a great point. It's tonal whiplash. You have to pick a lane. Is this a silly fluff piece, or is it a cruel, targeted attack?
And the script clearly wants it to be the latter.
Exactly. So that slow news day crutch, it has to go.
So the fix here is pretty ruthless. Cut the Queensland paragraph.
Entirely.
Just delete it.
Delete it. It saves, probably 45 seconds of runtime. But more importantly, it keeps the spotlight on the victim. If the video is about Erika Kirk, keep it about Erika Kirk.
And if he needs a transition there, because I think he used that whole I don't know fashion bit to bridge into his next point.
He can bridge directly from the journalist's comments on shiny clothes to Erika Kirk's own response about material distraction. That flow is so much more logical. You go from the accusation, the clothes, to the rebuttal, the spiritual focus.
Yeah.
You don't need the detour through the host's closet.
Which brings us to the core argument of the Washington Post article itself and how the script handles it. The article makes a very specific claim. It says that Erika Kirk's clothes make her hard to mistake for a career woman.
This is the intellectual heart of the battle. And right now, the script is it's losing it. The host quotes that line, blend into mainstream secular political context, and his reaction is just incredulity.
He just says, "What is this shit?" and tells her to touch grass.
Which, sure, is satisfying to say, but it leaves the entire premise unchallenged. The Washington Post is pushing a very specific worldview here.
Yeah, that to be a serious career woman, you have to look a certain way. Drab, desexualized, blending in.
Exactly. It's a coded attack on conservative femininity. The implication is that if you wear bright colors or shiny things, you can't possibly be a serious political operator. And the host just misses the chance to dismantle that.
He treats it as just a dumb comment instead of an ideological argument.
Yes. So instead of just reacting with touch grass, he needs to pause and actually ask the audience, why does the Washington Post believe a career woman can't wear bright colors? Why is drab the only acceptable uniform for power in their eyes?
That forces the listener to think. It exposes the bias.
But there's an even bigger opportunity here that I really hope the writer grabs. It's about the Garden of Eden reference.
Oh, I was hoping we'd get to this. I read the source material from Kirk that the script quotes. She explicitly talks about the Garden of Eden, linking Eve's fixation on the forbidden fruit to all the needless distractions people face today.
It's right there in the text. Kirk is using a metaphor about being distracted by shiny, worldly things, the fruit, instead of focusing on the eternal. And what is the journalist doing?
The journalist is obsessing over the shiny clothes.
Exactly. The journalist is proving Kirk's point for her. The journalist is the one staring at the fruit, unable to see the substance of the woman or the tragedy of the situation.
The journalist is Eve in this metaphor, distracted by the superficial.
It's ironic gold. If the host points that out, it just destroys the article's credit. It's not just, you're mean. It's, you are literally the cautionary tale Erika Kirk was talking about.
It flips the script completely. It frames Erika Kirk as spiritually superior and the journalist as petty and materialistic. That is so much stronger than telling someone to touch grass.
It elevates the entire video. It turns it from a defense into a cultural analysis. It shows that Kirk is playing chess while the critic is just playing checkers.
And that's the difference between a rant and a real critique. A rant reacts, a critique analyzes. And we want this script to be a critique.
So we fix the tone, tighten the structure, sharpen the intellectual argument. But there's one more structural issue, and it's a big one. It's about the heavy hitter.
Defending Kirk. Senator Kyrsten Sinema, Mark Caputo, Jason Rantz.
Kyrsten Sinema's the big one for me. You have a U.S. senator, and not some MAGA Republican, but a former Democrat and independent, coming out and saying, this is disgusting. A radical leftist killed her husband. That is a massive endorsement of the host's position.
It is the smoking gun. It proves this isn't just some fringe right-wing grievance. This is a human decency issue.
But where's that quote right now?
It's at the very end. It's buried in the last 30 seconds of the script.
That drives me crazy. By the time the listener gets to Sinema, they've already sat through the dingbat insults, the Queensland Croc story, the slow news day stuff. You've probably lost half your audience before you drop your biggest bomb.
I think creators do this because they want a big finish. They think, I'll save the best for last.
And that works in movies. It does not work in commentary. In commentary, you need to establish your credibility up front. If you open the video by saying, "This article was so bad that even Senator Kristen Sinema felt the need to speak out," you have hooked everyone.
Even the skeptics.
Especially the skeptics. It validates the premise immediately. It tells the viewer, hey, I'm not crazy for being angry about this. A U.S. senator agrees with me.
Exactly. It builds a consensus. You want to show that the Washington Post is the outlier here. It's not the host versus the world. It's the world versus the Washington Post.
So practically, we move Sinema to the first 60 seconds?
Absolutely. Intro, hook, Sinema. Bam. Now you have the audience's trust.
And then you can use Jason Rance and Mark Caputo to support the middle section, creating this chorus of disapproval. It makes the host sound like the spokesperson for a movement, not just a lone guy with a webcam.
It really changes the texture of the argument. When you cite those sources early, you earn the right to give your own opinion later. You've established the facts first.
Spot on. It's about earning the commentary.
You know, when you look at all these changes together, dropping the insults, cutting the personal stuff, using the garden metaphor, front-loading the sources, it feels like a completely different script.
But the core message hasn't changed at all.
No, the message is actually clearer.
That's the beauty of editing. We aren't changing what he wants to say, we're just removing the barriers that are stopping people from hearing it.
Right now, the dingbat stuff is a barrier. The Croc story is a barrier. The slow news day cliche is a barrier. Once you remove all those, the injustice of the situation just stands on its own.
And that's where the viral potential is. People share content that makes them feel vindicated and smart. They don't share content that feels like a personal diary entry or a childish rant.
Well, they might share the rant, but not for the reasons you want. They share it to mock it.
Exactly. We want them to share this because it's a takedown. A takedown requires precision.
I really hope the listener takes that Garden of Eden point to heart. That's the one I'm going to be thinking about. It's just such a missed opportunity in the current draft.
It's the kind of insight that separates top-tier commentators from the rest. It shows you aren't just reading the article, you're understanding the subtext.
So let's wrap this up for them. We've covered a lot of ground here. What's the battle plan?
The plan is simple. First, elevate the tone. Stop being the guy calling people names. Be the professional pointing out ethical failure. Use that style guide argument to claim the moral high ground.
Second, focus the narrative. Cut the personal digressions about Queensland and clothes. If it doesn't defend Erika Kirk, it does not belong in the script.
Third, win the intellectual argument. Don't just dismiss the career woman comment. Analyze, reveal the bias, and use the Garden of Eden metaphor to turn the journalist's own focus on shiny objects against her.
And finally, structure for impact. Move your strongest external validation, Senator Sinema, to the very beginning. Build that consensus early so the audience trusts where you're taking them.
This script has good bones. The passion is there. The moral clarity is there. It just needs to be sharp.
It's time to stop ranting and start dissecting.
Listeners, if you're working on a piece of commentary, ask yourself, are you getting in your own way? Is your anger diluting your argument? Take these suggestions, apply them to your next draft, and submit it again. We want to see this argument win.
Can't wait to see the rewrite.
That's it for this critique. Now get back to writing.